Hey Gottgamers, it's Kwing here. If I'm here, then you're correct. It's time for another exclusive Gottgame review. For as far back as I can remember, I love combat flight simulation games. But over a decade now, Rogue Squadron 2 has been the king of the hill. Well, at least for me that is. Most people were only able to play Skycrawlers on imported Wiis. It may have taken 2 years, but the Skycrawler's Innocent Aces has finally made its way over to the Western world, and it's about time. Because the Wii has a desperate need of a great combat simulator. In a world where corporations are locked in a pointless struggle for domination of the world, tension is settled by brave men and women in the sky. Innocent Aces uses anime cutscenes to progress the story, and if some of you are confused, this takes place several years before the OVA. Players take on the role of a young hotshot named Lynx, who has just been assigned to the Rostock Company's Cougar Squadron. During the course of the story, children are introduced as a group of pilots who can never age and only be killed in battle. The Skycrawler's Innocent Aces is a combat flight simulation game and was created by Ace Combat's development team, Project Aces. Similar to Capcom's latest fighting game, both titles remain Japanese exclusives. Not anymore. The game consists of two main modes of play. You have, of course, story mode and free mission mode. Story mode follows the journey of Rostock's Ace Squadron, the Cougar Squadron, and in between some missions, it offers beautiful cinematics. Players will experience everything through Lynx's eyes, who is the excellent pilot that you'll take control over. Over the course of the game, Lynx will be promoted to Squad Leader and be renamed Cheetah. The Cheetah Squad's missions vary from intense battles in the air, bombing raids on land, sinking an enemy navy, recon missions, and of course guarding targets. Once the mission is accomplished, players are judged on total kills, TMC kills, and given an overall grade. Getting an S grade unlocks new planes and upgrades, as well as offers an achievement system called medals. Each medal is awarded for exceptional skills in the face of adversity. But in layman's terms, the point of this game is to annihilate as many enemies as possible. Innocent Aces has 3 control types, but for the sake of this review, I'll just be explaining the default setup. Pulling up on the Wiimote will act as your throttle in this game, and pressing the B button underneath the Wiimote is how you'll brake. To move the plane, you tilt the nunchuck around in any direction you wish to go. Now, let's talk about the actual maneuvers. By tilting the joystick in multiple directions, you'll get this icon on the bottom half of your screen. This is how you start a maneuver. Once you've selected the maneuver you want to use, you press the A button, and each maneuver varies. The last maneuver that we'll talk about is called a TMC, and this is the best way to survive on the advanced difficulties, especially Ace. See that gauge filling on the bottom of the screen? When it passes a number, press the A button. This will put you right behind the enemy. Now just shoot him with the Z button. Enemies are actually highlighted by shapes in this game, and enemies in squares are the fighters, those in triangles are the bombers, and the octagons show the land troops. Players are able to change the camera angles in the options menu, which is how you get the cockpit view and the first-person view, if you choose to. The Wii game even offers some co-op action as well, with a second player manning the secondary weapons, similar to LucasArts' Staff of Kings airplane mode. In all honesty, the gameplay is the main reason for anybody to own this game. I've been playing this game off and on for over a month now. It is just an enjoyable experience, plus the motion controls are nowhere near as clunky as Wii's Heatseeker. Still, this game isn't totally perfect. My first gripe with the game and other flight combat games on the Wii is where on earth is the online play? In this day and age, sadly, it's kind of mandatory. It didn't have to be much. It would have been nice to have maybe 2 or 3 maps at least. In the long run, this type of game would have excelled with great online multiplayer support. Next on my list is the game is way too short. An Ace can go through this entire game in only a few hours. Sure, you can try to be an achievement monkey and earn all the medals, or play on hard and Ace difficulty. However, nothing's really going to change. It would have been so cool to have more missions aside from replaying the same ones over and over again. Overall, the visuals for this game looked amazing, yet I'm not a big fan of the actual terrain. Well, when looking from it from thousands of feet in the air, it looks breathtaking. but by getting too close to the ground, the size doesn't really grow or look realistic, at least for me. It feels like those old PC CD-ROM flight games when you get too close to the terrain. It doesn't meet today's standard. So the rule of thumb is actually don't fly too low to the ground and you won't have these problems, unless of course it's a ground mission. I know I may be being a bit critical, but that's my job. I don't think the English dub in this game is actually great either. It's not the worst I've heard, mind you, but the voiceovers sounded better in the game, not really in the cutscenes. I also wish we could have heard the Japanese voiceovers since this game is using subtitles anyway. Again, these are just minor gripes. For 2 years, I've waited patiently for this game to come over to the States, and I have to say, it was definitely worth the wait. The core reason this game is great is the gameplay. Hands down. I really can't stress that enough. Players are going to feel like you're sitting in the cockpit of an airplane, like never before. I was really pleased with how responsive the motion controls for this game really were, but I would be lying if I said I only played using the motion controls. The controls are simply perfect, and players can easily make wicked tight bank turns, terrifying dives, massively steep climbs, and even switch weapons on the fly. Project Aces really did pull off their goal in making players feel like a real fighting ace, even if they've lost some of the realistic approach to the game. The dogfighting in this game was so well done, I seriously never got tired of the excellent air battles time after time. Increasing the difficulty expects you to use maneuvers to stay alive. Otherwise, if an enemy has you in your sights, well, your number's up. What makes the dogfight so exciting is the TMC system, which is new to the Aces series. While I did go over a brief explanation of the system, I didn't really tell you guys why I liked it. See, what this does is it sets up an easy kill, and depending on the TMC number on the gauge, it's how up close and personal you can get behind your enemy. The TMC feels more like an arcade-style approach to viewing the action from behind your target. And don't get me wrong, this is really cool, but I can hear some of you already belly aching over the repetitiveness of the TMCs. Well, it doesn't get repetitive, and learning these maneuvers is vital to beating this game and surviving. Because guess what? Enemies are going to be breathing down your neck the same way. So master it well, or die from it. The choice is yours. While I may not be a big fan of up close and personal terrain, from up in the sky, the environments looked incredible. Flying over the different cities, the lakes, the oceans, and flying through the clouds made the graphics look impressive. I loved the different reflections of the sun beaming in your eyes through the window of your plane, flying through a storm during an intense dogfight, with the heavy rain pouring down all around you and lightning lighting up the skies. The water had realistic approach to it as well, especially when you brought your plane down on the surface of the water and it made your plane look like it was jet skiing. The Skycrawler game doesn't look that bad at all, and Namco Bandai's design team did a step-up job. For the most part, the action runs at an impressive 60 frames a second, and for me it feels like this is the next step in the Aces family. The animation was great too, and it's very similar to what you saw in the OVA. Without going into all the nitty-gritty of the music and how epic it is, I really liked it. In fact, throughout this review, I've played some of my favorite tracks from the original soundtrack in this review. The replay value is pretty good for this game too. Getting an S grade unlocks different planes, upgrades, and paint jobs for you to use, which in turn increases your chance of replaying a level with a different plane or paint job of your choice. Every pilot will find their favorite planes to fly in. I think it's a safe bet to say that these planes are based after classic World War II beasts like Spitfires, Messerschmitts, Zeros, Crosshairs, Mustangs, and even some early 50 Jets designs, minus the propellers of course. However, my fighter of choice to replay this entire game was the Skyly D, especially for the Ace difficulty and heavy firefights later in the game. The Skyly D is the fastest ship with an S rank, and it's great for skilled pilots like myself. The ship is also the closest thing to a P-51 Mustang, and it's one heck of an airplane. All in all, there is a tremendous amount of reasons why this game has gotten so much good praise from critics and journalists alike. It's amazing. Enough said. Still, the biggest point in this game's favor is the price. That's right, Innocent Aces only retails for $29.99. Anyway, minus the things I didn't like about this game, it's a very good flight sim game, and Namco Bandai delivers a great Wii combat sim game. Big time. The core reason for the excellent experience is the gameplay. I can't remember when I had this much fun with a flight sim game on the Wii, no less. So Gottgame.com gives the Skycrawler's Innocent Aces an 8.5 out of 10. Do yourself a favor and track down a copy of this game. Oh, and happy hunting. Well, that's going to wrap up another Gottgame video review. This is K-Wing as always saying God bless and happy gaming until we meet again, gamers.